kiddies. Okay, so bit of a story to tell you. Basically, Harry had a cold going back maybe, I don't know, 5 days ago, and Charlie caught it, so he's been really snuffly, really sort of sneezing and coughing a bit. But then oh dear, on Tuesday he started to get a bit of a temperature and he felt really warm, so we tried the thermometer that goes in the ear. It's like a digital one, and that didn't really work. It couldn't get a good enough reading. We tried like the thermometer under his armpit, but again it was coming up like he was feeling hot, but it wasn't coming up with a warm temperature. So I went to Asda and I bought a contactless one that scans their forehead, and it came up at 39 degrees. So I didn't really know how accurate it was, but obviously we did my temperature and it was 36.5. I did my husband's and it was like 36.8. So I was like, well, we did his again and it was 39.1, and I was like, what the hell? So anyway, I rung 111, which is, in England, it's our sort of non-emergency line, just to get some sort of information and some sort of help with actually ringing like an ambulance type thing. And he the bloke said that they're going to get a doctor to come out and see. So the doctor came out and saw us, and she was very good. She was literally here in like 30 minutes. She looked at him and she said straight away, like, his eyes are really puffy. You can see kind of on this one here, it's a little bit red, sort of up here, a little bit underneath. And it was like green and sticky, and she said, yeah, he needs to get seen by the hospital. So we dropped Harry off. It was like it was 11 o'clock when we got Harry out of bed, bless him. Dropped him off at the mother-in-law's on the way, and we went down to the hospital, and they saw us straight away. It was really good. We just filled in a whole lot of his details on a piece of paper, and then we got seen straight away. They did his height and his weight, and then the doctor came in within about 5 minutes and said, okay, because he's got a temperature and we don't like this sort of age to have temperatures. They took his temperature and it was 38, so the forehead one wasn't that far off. They said he needs to have a blood test, which was fine, but then they said he needed to have a lumbar puncture. And for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's a very fine needle that goes in between the vertebrae and your spine. So they had to like curl him round in a ball, insert a needle into the back of his spine. He's got a little plaster on the back, and extract some fluid from his spinal column. Are you getting hungry? Should we come? Just quickly show you his hand. So they put a needle into the back of his hand. Well, they put a needle in this hand to begin with, and the vein blew. So he's got a little bruise on the back of his hand there. Don't know if you can see it actually. Yeah, you can, just there, look. And then this is the one that's got the cannula in it. He's got a splint keeping his hands and arms straight so that he doesn't like bend it. It's just like a little plastic tubing that's keeping the vein open. But you can see just there, it's all little hand wrapped up. But yeah, so then we alright darling, So yeah, the doctor came and he said that they need to do a lumbar puncture, and I sat there and I suddenly felt like really faint, because I didn't think they were going to do it because he didn't have a rash. But anyway, it's a check for meningitis, and so they had to put a needle in his back. They did the blood test first on him, and I stayed in for that, and then I literally went out the room when they did the lumbar puncture and just cried my eyes out. I was really, really worried about him, and I wanted to be there, but I don't think I wanted like that image in my head like for the rest of my life, because I know I'd never be able to forget it, because they have to put them in like a really awful position. They have to like bend them right round so that their backs all like hunched over, and in fact when he came back, his head, like there was no blood in it really, it was all like yellow and white, and it was where he'd been like hunched over in a funny position, and he was a bit, I don't want to say floppy, but he was a bit like not right. Anyway, so anyway, after that, I got him back, and sort of cuddling him. I was like, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?" Oh, he's got a little plaster on the lower bit of his back, from where they put the needle in, and then it bled a bit. And then, yeah, so then after that, we got shown to our own room, and it was lovely. It was a big room. It had like an ensuite. It had a cot in the middle for him. It had a bed for me to sleep in, because they wanted to keep us in for at least 48 hours, because the bloods take 48 hours for any results to come back, so you have to culturise them and like grow things to see if they can see any bacteria or viral infection or whatever, or bacteria. So then after that, Matt went home, but I had like nothing with me. Luckily I had some breast pads in his change bag. We had like 4 nappies to last us, so luckily they gave us some nappies. But I literally came out with nothing. I've actually got a video of the room with all the lovely stars decorated, hanging from the ceiling, and my husband fast asleep in bed, along with him fast asleep in the cot, and also I used their hospital Medela Harmony breast pump, which was amazing. If I was to buy it in England on Amazon, it's about £1,600 and £8 delivery, but it's really, really good. But I do have, the one that I have is this one actually, and it's fine, it's good. It's just called the Mini Electric, and it's good, it's fine. You plug it in and it does pretty much the same thing. but yeah, this one was really good. And where he wasn't, the reason I pumped was because where he wasn't drinking much, where he was so poorly, he just wanted sort of like 10 minutes at a time just to like quench his thirst, I guess. He wasn't like draining each side properly, so I was getting a little bit engorged. But yeah, so I did that, and gosh, let me try to think. Yeah, I've got a video of the room, so I'll insert it here. Charlie. So I managed to have a bath, which was really nice, whilst he was asleep. And they fed me breakfast, lunch and dinner. Because I was breastfeeding, I had to stay in. Obviously, like I said, there was a bed there. Nurses came in, checking on him every, when was it? Every, I think it was 4 hours. Doing his temperature, doing his heart rate, giving him the antibiotics. I think he got a little bit of Calpol as well. A couple of times because his temperature was so warm, but if they're over 4 kilos, then it's fine for them to have Calpol. So that's good. But yeah, it was awful, worst experience of my life. And I was just so worried about him. But they were so good. They were so lovely there. So it was really good. But yeah, so they said to us we need to stay in for like 2 nights. So I got Matt to pack like a huge hospital bag. Then he came with all my bits ready to stay like at least 2-3 nights, and they said, "Oh, change your plan. He's now 7 weeks, so we can give him a different antibiotic that will only be needing to give once a day." And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, so it's a 24-hour lasting one, and so they said, "What we're going to do is we're going to send you home. We're going to give him antibiotics at 5 o'clock now, and then you can go home." And we'll get the nurse to come out to you at your home and give him the next lot. And then you need to come back to us on Friday at, I think it's 3:30, and he can have his last dose then. And then they can take the cannula out of his hand. So I was like, oh, fantastic. So that saves us staying in. Just swaddled him because he's tired and he wants to go to sleep in a minute after he's burped. I'm tired, Baba. So yeah, the whole the whole like they looked after us really well, but it was really frightening. And if any of you guys have had to go through that, please please leave comments down below. And if any of you have sat in to watch the lumbar puncture being done, I think it's quite sort of invasive, but at least, you know, we'll get the results. Well, we had the results through just before I left, and luckily he came back negative for meningitis, which I'm pretty sure, I felt, you know, that he didn't have meningitis, but because he hasn't had his jabs, they have to like rule out everything. So yeah, it was awful, but at least it's all over and done with now, really. All we're going to have done is just the cannula taken out his hand on Friday, really, and that's it. So yeah, thank you so much for your lovely comments and messages, and yeah, it's my little update, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, ladies!